Hi, my name is Pernilla, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development. And well, to grow, we got to challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and perspective at a time. Hi guys, and welcome back to my Challenge Your Norm podcast. If you're not watching this, I'm sitting in my car right now because I recently decided that I wanted to just record these podcasts whenever I got an idea for a topic that I wanted to share. Where previously I would be sitting, have a thought, then I would write it down, and then I would record it whenever I sat down in my podcast studio. But when I have the idea, I just want to do it right away. I've talked about that a lot on this podcast. Whenever I have an idea to do something, it's so important to just do it right away, because the longer time that passes from when I get an idea to I do it, the less likely it is that I'm actually going to do it. And sometimes I've gotten an idea for a podcast episode, I've maybe written down one sentence about it, but then when I sit down to record it, it's as if I'm not in that flow and forget a lot of the things that I wanted to talk about. And so I'm gonna just record wherever it is that I am. And I just was at the gym, and then I went to the grocery store, and I am having a little bit of a slow day today. And that's what I want to talk with you about. And when I used to have a slow day, as in my energy is a little bit slower, not like I feel really good, but I don't have as much exciting hyper energy as I will have on other days. And I used to be really hard on myself when I would have a day like this and almost beat myself up for why it is that I'm so lazy, quote unquote, is what I would tell myself that I was. And I'm proud of myself for the progress that I've made. And I know that all of us experience this, right? On some days we have a ton of energy, and on other days we have less energy. And I know that a lot of us tend to be really hard on ourselves, not just when it comes to having days like this, but also, especially with social media right now, us wanting to do so many things. And then when we maybe scroll on our Instagram and we see all these other people, maybe friends, doing all sorts of kinds of cool things, we will be really hard on ourselves as to why it is that we're not doing enough, being enough, doing all these really cool and exciting things that we see other people doing. And so in today's episode, I want to talk about how we can be kinder to ourselves and stop beating ourselves up, because we do not deserve it. And there's a few things that I've done that have really helped me, and I hope that they can help you too, because it's been so good for me, and it's been pretty life-changing, because obviously the relationship we have with ourselves and how we speak to ourselves plays such a big part of the kind of life that we get to live. And I'm sure you know these things, but I just hope that maybe even just the reminder of it can help you snap out of it quicker next time you maybe tend to say something that isn't very nice to yourself. I'm someone who wants to do so many things in life. I want to be a public speaker. I want to take this podcast to the next level. I want to build a YouTube channel. I want to develop more ebooks. I want to do online one-on-one training. I want to be in the best shape of my life at all times. I want to take all these different courses so that I can become more intelligent. I want to make sure that I go on daily walks every day, get my sunlight, spend time in nature, spend time with friends, spend time with family, remember to call grandma and granddad, all these different things that I want to do. And the thing is, we only have 24 hours in a day, which is a lot. But it may not always be enough to be able to do everything at 100% at all times, right? And sometimes we have to prioritize. And I think that we're not only battling with ourselves when it comes to how and what to spend our time on, but also what we think other people wants for us to do. And so I think the best thing to start off with, that, oh my gosh, it's just so beautiful whenever, if I'm being hard on myself on not doing something instead of something else, or just not doing enough, is sit my butt down and ask myself, what is the most important thing for me at this stage of my life? And that continuously changes throughout the different stages depending on what period in my life. But really getting clear on what is it right now
this month, maybe even just like this week, today, that will be the most important thing for me to do. Because once I've sat down with myself and really been honest with myself as to what is the most important thing right here and now, and I can answer that honestly, it allows me to stop that inner battle of why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? Because I've already gotten really clear on the fact that I'm doing this because this is what is the most important for me. And that way I can just stop all that other negative blaming of why I'm not doing all these other things, because I know what is the most important to me. So I think if you catch yourself ever saying, why are you not doing that? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? Really sit down with yourself and ask yourself that. And because let's say you're lazy or you're scared of people's judgment or whatever it is that has gotten in your way, and you actually do want to be doing that thing, then you can make the decision to actually go do that thing. It's just important that you do whatever feels right. And when we have to take on a new thing, we have to oftentimes let go of something else, right? So getting clear on what would you be willing to let go of in order for you to take in this new thing that you really want to do in life. Not for anybody else, but what you want for your life that you really believe could get you to that next level of happiness, success, well-being, whatever is the most important and meaningful thing for you right here and now. Recently, I had to sit my ass down and ask myself this exact question because I was blaming myself for why was that I wasn't creating more programs, why I wasn't taking my app to the next level, why it was that I wasn't posting enough Instagram stories. And I sat down and asked myself, what is the most important thing for me right now? I also was blaming myself for not making enough podcasts. And what I came to, that I always come to when I'm really honest with myself, is that I want to grow my YouTube channel. And so I've narrowed down, really focus on building my YouTube channel right now. And so I post multiple times a day. I'm really trying my best to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and just fully engage in that. So that is my number one priority. And so if I don't engage as much on my Instagram story, for example, I don't blame myself anymore because I know it's because I'm putting my attention to YouTube, podcasts, and these other things that I have on my importance list. I'm also trying to do public speaking this year, as I've talked about previously, and I'm doing a little bit of that every day. I am also aware that that is not my number one priority, but it is something that I want to do just a little bit per day, like a few pages of a book per day, or I've started taking this course on it, just a little bit a day. But I'm not gonna judge myself for why I'm not doing more on that end, because I know that my YouTube channel is my number one priority, and everything else I can kind of do. I can do as much as my time allows me to. But I also think with that, it's important to say that if you keep procrastinating on something that you deep down want to do, again, sit down on your butt and maybe journal on, or just ask yourself, why is it that I keep procrastinating? Because what I often find is that it has to do with either the laziness, like it's gonna take work to do that, or the fear of maybe not being good enough, not being capable, or maybe getting judged by others, and really getting clear on that, because once I'm aware, I can then decide, what am I gonna do from now? Am I gonna allow the fear, the laziness to stop me, or do I actually want to move forward? And once I've really had that awareness, then I can decide what to do. So that was just a little side note. If you're actually just procrastinating on something that you do want to do, that you're blaming yourself for, stop the blame, but just get to action. Kick yourself in the butt and get started, because your future self is going to be really freaking happy and grateful that you did that. The next thing that I want to talk about is something that I used to blame myself for a lot, which looking back now is just like, I don't know how that even made sense in my mind. But when I first came to LA, I was dancing and trying to do it professionally. And I would just take dance classes all day because I was trying to evolve and become better as a dancer. And let's say I had a weekend where Sunday I didn't dance. Then Monday I would take 7 hours of dance classes, which is insane, but I was used to it at that point. So 7 hours was a lot for me, but 7 hours of dance classes and I would just feel amazing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. I need to do this every day this week because it feels so good and I'm capable and I can do it. And then I would show up Tuesday, and after 3 hours, I would just be exhausted. And I would then start to blame myself and just not understand, Pernilla, why aren't you capable of doing 7 hours today like you were yesterday? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is going on here? Where, first of all, everyone listening to this, I'm sure you know that it makes perfect sense that after a day of literally doing cardio for 7 hours, your body needs to rest. And it's maybe okay that I did a dance class or two the next day, but I wouldn't understand why I wasn't able to do that. And I'm sharing this with you because maybe, like today, the reason I'm aware why I'm having a slow day today, and that is because yesterday I did a heavy leg day, but then I took a dance class afterwards, which, just so you know, is something that so rarely happens, like the combination of those two, because that's a big day for me. I'm getting older. Or that might just be an excuse. I'm just not, my body isn't used to doing as much anymore as it was at that point. And so today, I feel it in my energy. I'm a little bit slower, but today I have the understanding of why that is, right? Like, I can't push myself that hard one day and then expect for my body to be able to do the same next day. Maybe sometimes 2 or 3 days in a row I can, but then I'll need to go a little bit slower about my day the next day. And I am just mentioning this because I experienced this last week too, and the weeks before that, because I started really being intentional about doing progressive overload at the gym. And so I'm really pushing my muscles in a way that damaging them on a deeper level. And so I felt this little bit slower some of the following days because I'm pushing my body that hard. And just having understanding of the fact that is what happens when we push our body in that way, and that's okay. And what I am realizing now is that back when I would be just disappointed in myself when I had a day where I was just a little bit slower, I would be walking around, saying these critical things to myself, which would then lead to me actually not even being able to do any good kind of work on that day, or like just completing the things that I wanted to get done on that day. Where now, when I'm allowing it, I'm just accepting, oh, I'm having a slower day today. Let me just see what comes from that. And what I'm realizing is, as I'm accepting it and allowing it and just still doing the more low energy kinds of tasks, is that I actually will get almost maybe not an equal amount done, but a lot of things done. Like this podcast, for example, is coming from me just taking it a little bit slower today and being able to share that with you. But I've also done a ton of little videos, whether it's been like talking, I've done a ton of computer work, but in a slower pace. And it's felt really good because I've been accepting of it and not judging myself for being in a little bit more of a slower pace mood. And I just did a workout, and the workout was maybe not as hardcore as I could have done it, but the fact that I was just accepting of that made it feel really good because it was just what I felt like today. My camera is dying, so I think I'm going to switch to my phone. We're now switched to an iPhone with a little mic attached because I got this new cord so that I can attach my mic. And that means that we can do more maybe car podcasts from now on. I forgot where I left at, but I think I got through the most important things. And my challenge for you today, my challenge for you to challenge your norm, is to really become aware of when you're being hard on yourself, because it takes becoming aware, right, for us to be able to change it. And I wasn't aware of how hard I was on myself. I still am not aware, I'm sure, of so many places where I still have so much more kindness to learn. But that's the beauty of self-development and beauty of challenging our norm, is that the more we practice these things, the better we get at catching ourselves and growing and evolving and creating better lives for ourselves. And now that I'm just doing this podcast on my phone, I just quickly want to share that I think another thing that we do, a lot of us, that isn't very nice to ourselves, is that we allow and accept the lies that we tell ourselves. For example, I knew that I only had a small bit left on my camera, and I knew that I probably wasn't going to be able to finish this entire podcast. And I could have easily been like, oh, I'm not going to do the podcast today then, because it's not going to look good that first of all, I'm doing it in my car, but then also first I'm doing it on my camera and then I'm switching to my phone, and just like all these excuses, right? That easily can make me be like, no, I'll just do it later. But I just always think it's better to just do it if it feels right. And I'm so glad that I did this, because maybe you listening, if you're still here, maybe you needed to hear this today. You needed this little reminder that you're already aware of, but these little reminders help us so much when I listen to podcasts. That's why I'm so passionate about doing this podcast, is because when I listen to podcasts, it's just like those daily small reminders that I can get that make my life better. So if you have been wanting to start a YouTube channel, but you don't have a camera and that's why you haven't gotten started, start with your iPhone. So many people are recording their YouTube videos on their iPhone. If you have been wanting to start a business, but you don't know where to start on something and you're telling yourself that you're not smart enough, start doing 10 minutes of research per day. If there's something that you want and you're making up excuses in your head, then I don't think that's very kind to yourself. And I do this myself. We're all in the same boat here. I'm talking to myself just as much as I'm talking to you. But just like really becoming aware of these excuses that we're making, that is keeping us stuck, really keeping us from the dreams, the things that we deep down want in our life. So that's just something that I try to remind myself of, that I wanted to give you a little reminder of as well. Think of something that you want to do right now, but that you have been maybe telling yourself you can't. What is that thing? And how can you change that? How can you take action? Because like Mel Robbins says, nobody's coming. Have you heard that? Real? I feel like it's everywhere. Nobody is coming to save us, right? We have to take the action ourselves. And the sooner we get started, the sooner we grow, the sooner we challenge our norm, we can get there, but not just get there. As I'm getting older, I'm just so appreciative of the journey. That sounds so silly because I know we all know this, but I'm really so grateful for every single day right now. Even though no big things are happening right now in my life, I'm just so grateful every single day. Just everything that is happening on this journey as I'm going towards my goals and really finding joy in the moment. I'm really proud of myself for doing that, because again, it's setting the intention to be nice to ourselves and not be bullies, our own bullies. It's like being really intentional about enjoying the little things of every single day. And I'm writing a gratitude list every night, which is something I've never been good at sticking to, but I think that may also actually have a big say in it, because I write it in the morning, but then also doing it at night, it just multiplies. Isn't that the word? Multiplies the gratitude throughout my day, and just really enjoying everything that's happening on the journey, because I know so well that I've set goals before that I'm literally living the life that I used to dream about. But once that becomes your norm, once you adapt, you get used to it, it's like the gratitude goes away unless you're intentional about being grateful for it. That was a little bit of a tangent that I went on here at the end, but I really hope that you challenge your norm today and really become aware of when you're being your own bully, when you're being criticizing or just hard on yourself. When are you being hard on yourself, and how can you change that? Question that, so that you can start talking to yourself in a loving way, because you deserve that. And that, I really think, it's going to change you. And when we change on the inside, our outside changes. So today was just a little reminder of that. And I'm really challenging you to challenge your norm today, to do that, just like I'm challenging myself and practicing myself doing this. I'm so grateful that you wanted to listen to this podcast. If you enjoyed it, you have no idea how much it helps if you would either just give me a review like the stars, or even if you have a 2 seconds extra to just write anything in the reviews. It really helps me grow my podcast. I'm trying to really stay on it in posting every single Tuesday. So it would make me so happy. I'm so grateful that you wanted to tune in and listen. And other than that, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm. Bye.